Hi, I'm Stephanie, and welcome to Texas Peach Knits. It's December 2022, and I threw together all of my projects today trying to hurry and make a December podcast. This is one of the busiest times of year. I'm sure it is for everybody. And I've been really enjoying watching all of the Vlogmases that are out there. It's something I am not sure I would ever be able to do. So I am very impressed by everyone's cinematography and ability to piece together little bits of their day and share it, because it's really a lot of fun. And I don't think I ever really watched many of them. I think last December was really the first time I watched some Vlogmases, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. How do they have time? So I'm amazed. So thank you to all of you that are filming Vlogmases. We have our annual Advent potluck tonight for our homeschool co-op. So I got a little dressy, little Christmassy for that. And so I thought, since I was already done making the food we're taking and packing my car, I thought, you know, while the kids are chilling out, I'm going to quickly film a podcast. So I threw all my stuff together, and I have a few things to show you. So I made a note that last time I didn't tell you anything about myself, just in case you're new. I'm Stephanie. I am a homeschool mother of 4. My children are ages 13, 11, 8, and 5. My 2 eldest are girls, and my 2 little ones are boys. So we are busy. This is our homeschool room, and right now is our Advent time. We are Catholic, and I try to decorate very slowly for Christmas because I want to kind of savor the Advent time, and then I like to keep my Christmas decorations up as long as possible after Christmas. And I know many people, as soon as Christmas Day is over, they want to take everything down because then your house feels so clean. I agree. And that's part of the reason I try to wait to put things up, so that we get that like holly jolly Christmassy feeling closer to Christmas, and we can hang on to it as long as possible. Though my children, I mean all children, adore Christmas, and they often will start making their own decorations if I don't decorate quickly enough. So I have a little decoration that my 5-year-old made. This is his little Christmas tree he made. So these are math linking cubes. You probably have seen these from school. And we've bought several sets of these, not for homeschool. I thought they were going to be for homeschool, but they are toys. And so this is his adorable little Christmas tree. He told me this is the star. These are the ornaments. He's got little purple and blue and orange and red ornaments, and then the little Christmas tree stand. And I think he had some presents stuck on there too, but they have disappeared, so someone opened their presents. So that's my little Christmassiness. I think we are going to get the Christmas tree and everything out next weekend. Our homeschool co-op, the big potluck is tonight, and then next Wednesday is our last day. So after that, I'll be able to relax and get more into the Christmas decorating time. So I've been knitting a long time. I've been knitting since 2002. I learned from my college roommate. She had a book about knitting, and I had always wanted to learn to knit, and I've been knitting ever since. So off and on, especially with little ones, some seasons are more knitting and some seasons are less. So one of the things I wrote down to talk about is maybe a controversial knitting topic. I don't know. But why I don't buy knitting advents, like the little yarn advent boxes, and also why someday I might buy one. That's one of the things that a lot of the vlogs have, is everyone has a knitting advent, and they are so gorgeous, and I think they're wonderful. I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a knitting advent. I would never want to crush anyone's joy and enjoyment of the season. But part of being Catholic is Advent for me is kind of a penitential time, and we really try to reflect and like get a little emptier. Like we are kind of trying to get rid of part of our own kind of, I don't want to say selfishness, but our vices. We want to work on getting rid of our vices and building our virtues and awaiting the coming of Christ, because every Christmas we kind of look towards when Christ comes again. And so Advent, like Lent, is kind of a penitential time, though it's hard to be very penitential with all the Christmas music and Christmas cookies, which I love. So one of the reasons I don't buy a Advent is I have not wanted my children to get into thinking they get a present every day of Advent, because that's not the present time. That's more the like growing, getting ready time. And so I didn't want them seeing me get a present every day. We do those little countdown Advent calendars that have the tiny piece of chocolate, but I've seen like Lego Advent calendars and Hot Wheels Advent calendars, and I think like if you're getting a present every day, Christmas Day is gonna feel like womp womp. At least in my house, I mean, we don't have a huge family budget. My husband is a musician and an orchestra teacher, and I've been staying home, so we've had to make a lot of sacrifices. We're still very well taken care of. Like, I really can't complain, but I don't want to spend all our Christmas budget on Advent. And so that's part of the reason. And I lost my train of thought. So I don't want to show myself getting a present every day, because I want to save the presents for the Christmas season. And they get expensive, and I already don't spend very much money on my own Christmas gifts, so I don't have it in my budget to purchase an Advent. And I mainly wanted to talk about this because for people that have the fear of missing out, it's okay. Like, you don't need to buy an Advent. No one expects every knitter to go out and purchase an Advent. I do think they're wonderful. I love supporting small businesses, but to each person in their season, they can do their own thing. So if you don't have your own knitting Advent, it's okay. Oh, and I remember the third reason. The third reason is I already have so many things to knit. Like, my yarn stash is overflowing. My knitting to-do list is overflowing, and I can't really add an unknown project right now. So, and then why I might someday buy a knitting Advent. You know, I could really see myself, once my kids are much older or out of the house, really enjoying having a knitting Advent calendar, because I really do think they would be fun. So I think in the future, it might be in the future for me, but at this season in my life, it's just not the right time. So that is why I don't buy one, and that is why I may someday buy one. So I don't have a finished object today. I do have something I'm wearing. Let me talk about this. See, you can tell that I threw this together trying to get ready right before our co-op potluck. I don't know what came over me. This is this was an Advent knit along, and so while it wasn't a kit or an Advent present opening thing, I had signed up for a mystery knit along. And this is all Knit Picks palette yarn. This was a pattern designed by Tricia, Weatherston, and this is from 2017. So in 2017, I must not have had as long of a queue, and I decided I would try doing a Advent knit along, and I loved doing this. I think I finished it really close to Christmas or right after Christmas, and I've enjoyed wearing it every year afterwards. So this was a really beautiful project, and you can still buy it as a it has like the piece of the pattern for each day if you want to knit it as a Christmas countdown. So I have a half finished object. This is my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter's Helgen Socks, and I found my sock blocker that I bought years and years ago from Knit Picks. I think these turned out absolutely lovely. And she wears a size 10 women's shoe, so I used Anna Knitter's size charts to measure her foot and decide how many inches to knit it. I ended up having her try it on and then knitting it even a little longer because she has very, very long feet. She may be nearing a size 11. So this yarn is Premier Yarns Eco Color, and it's color number 42208. That's this main color. I love it because I didn't have to worry about a stripe pattern. It just kind of did its thing. And then the contrast color is SRK On Your Toes in the navy blue. And this is a very thick, heavy sock yarn, and I feel like it's going to hold up really well. This one is 68% superwash wool, 22% polyamide, and 10% cotton. So you can kind of see the dragon scales. That's part of Anna Knitter's pattern. So I really enjoyed knitting these, and I have my whip is the other one. Okay, so I'll show you my first whip. This is a bag I made myself. It's a squishy bag. It doesn't have interfacing in it. I've got stuff everywhere. So this is the second sock, almost done with the leg. I've got a few more repeats of the pattern, and I decided to put it away in order to knit my next whip. So last Christmas, I bought myself Christmas yarn because I was seeing everyone knitting Christmas socks, and I had never really knit Christmas socks because I don't really like socks. I mean, we live in Texas, I almost never wear socks, only with tennis shoes or sometimes those like little tiny socks just to keep your shoes from getting sweaty, but I don't really like wear socks. But I loved all the cute Christmas yarn, so I decided to gift myself some Christmas yarn for Christmas. So last Christmas I got this West Yorkshire Spinners in the Hollyberry colorway and this color, which has lost its tag, in the chocolate lime. And I used some of this for my son's socks earlier this year. So I actually knit myself another pair of socks last January, and I knit them differently than I used to. I used to always do the Fish Lips Kiss heel or the Afterthought heel. I thought they looked nice, but they never really fit my feet. They didn't make me like socks. They were really hard to get on. I've got extremely high arches, and the top of my foot goes up really high. I can't wear clogs. If I have to buy rubber boots, I have to buy, for like gardening, I have to buy 2 sizes larger than what I wear just to like get my foot to go in because my arches are so high. And so those heels really didn't work for my feet. And I hadn't done a heel flap and gusset, but I decided with those socks last year that I was going to try it, and I was going to make the heel flap longer than what was suggested by the pattern. And they were so much more comfortable. I loved it. I think thinking about the shape of your own foot is really important when making socks. I've made socks, tons of socks for my husband who has extremely flat feet. I'm hoping our children get in between, because like I've got not flat at all and he has super flat. And so the socks that fit him didn't necessarily fit me. So anyways, for my Christmas socks this time, I'm doing another heel flap and gusset. It is Anna Knitter, and I know the other ones were Anna Knitter too. Her patterns are lovely and she's lovely. So I'm doing her God's Promise pattern that she came out with last June. And I just saw the pattern. I thought that is the perfect pattern for Christmas yarn, because Jesus is God's biggest promise, right? The promise of salvation. So here's my Christmas socks. And this is in the Holly Berry. And I don't know if you can see the patterning. It's got like this like kind of basket weave bumpy pattern, but I think it looks very like Christmas garlandy, which is perfect for the Holly Berry. Now the Christmas lime color does not really match, but I think it looks very festive and kind of vintagey with it. So I'm just going to go with it. And I started my heel flaps today. So that is where I am on those. I'm really enjoying them. Her pattern has this rolled cuff and the twisted rib, which I do not like knitting twisted rib. I think if I ever knit this pattern again, I will do a normal 2x2 cuff, but I think this does look very jolly for Christmas socks. So that is those. So that's one of the ones I've been working on. Okay, so for Thanksgiving, we drove to Arizona to visit my baby sister, and it's a 14-hour drive from our house, and I wanted a project that I could work on for her. So I started the FLOE shawl. It's from this Sock Yarn Shawls 2 by Jen Lucas. And this is the shawl. I think it is so pretty. And I actually thought it looked very kind of Arizona-y. So I ended up using a skein of yarn that Michelle in Houston sent me, which I just love. It's so beautiful. And this was like a walk down memory lane, because back when I first started watching knitting podcasts, one of the ones I watched was called, I don't remember if it was called Highland Handmades or if it was called the Fiberista Files, but it was a young lady who lived in Maine and she dyed yarn. I don't know if you remember her. I thought she was just so interesting to watch. I loved learning about her yarn dyeing business, and I was never able to buy any of her yarn, but this is what Michelle in Houston sent me. This is her BFL sock yarn, and it is in the color Twee. It is so soft and beautiful and very, very lovely. Here's the ball. And so I tried to look her up because I was like, I haven't seen her in forever and I hope she's okay. And it turns out she is now a ship captain and she's sailing all over the world, which is amazing. I'm just so happy for her. She just seems like she's living such an interesting life and she's very happy. So I'm enjoying using her yarn for this. Now, this lace pattern took me a while to get figured out. It was not the best car knitting. especially since when we drove home, we had to drive through a blizzard, which was very unexpected between Arizona and Texas. I don't know if they forecast the storm and we somehow just missed it because our drive was so long. My husband said maybe he just hadn't checked the weather in between our two stops. And I did not knit for like 10 hours of the drive home because I was helping navigate, and we were trying to just go slow and get home because Texas does not do good with snow. Our infrastructure is not built for it. It's just not good. And this was through West Texas. So I mostly knit on this after I got home. And when I was in Arizona, I spent a lot of time with my sister, and we spent a lot of that time in the kitchen for Thanksgiving. So there wasn't a whole lot of knitting time, but it was a lovely trip. I just adored Tucson. It was gorgeous, and I'll probably put some photos from our trip on the end of the video if you're interested in seeing that. The landscape was just magnificent. Okay, so I have one more whip, and it is the mini version of Frankie the Bunny. So this is Frankie the Bunny. He's so cute. So I made him before. It's out of this Cutest Crochet Creations, but I modified him a lot. He ended up not being a Frankie, little Native American bunny. He ended up being just a little cutesy girl bunny. So I'm making him again, and I dropped something, so I'll be right back. Another one of my friends saw the one I had made and asked if I could make a smaller one with some kind of pocket in the front to be a tooth fairy little stuffy. So I thought, yes, I can just, it was out of worsted, I can just make it out of sock yarn and make a little sock yarn sweater with a pocket. I thought, that's going to be so cute. So here I go. This is the head. And the Frankie pattern has like a taller head. I ended up making it more of like a ball. I like the little round head better. And then here's the little part of the body. I ran out of stuffing, believe it or not, because my daughters have been making so many of those little dragons to give to their friends. I showed the dragons in the second episode, I think. They used all of my stuffing. So they're going to buy me more stuffing. But I was going to show you one thing about, I am not an amigurumi expert. I'm not a crochet expert. And I think I make these inside out. Because usually when I see photos of these, I see this side with the little lines. So I do crochet into the back loop. But I prefer the other side, which looks more like body fur. It's not, the lines are not as pronounced, I think. So this one is inside out too. So I'm making them inside out. At least I think that's what's going on here. But so this is going to have little arms and legs and ears and a little sweater with a pocket to be a tooth fairy stuffy to put a tooth in. So I think it's going to be really cute. And as soon as I get stuffing, I will get back busy working on it, and I get to decide which sock yarn scraps I want to use for the little sweater. Okay. So then I was gonna, that's all I have whip-wise. I did not work on my Acorn Trails sweater, so that's just not gonna get done. the more you watch me, the more you will see that I am not a stickler for finishing the things that I cast on, at least not right away. I tend to jump around a lot and knit what I want because it's for fun. But when I was looking around for, I don't remember what I was looking for, I found some old projects. And I found a lot more than this, but I found too that I might resurrect. So the first one I found is this Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. Isn't this a pretty color? It's a very tealy blue. It's called Calypso Heather. And I don't even remember, I have a slight memory of making this headband. Isn't that pretty? And I think I was going through a phase where I thought a bunch of knitted headbands would be cute and fun to wear, but I never finished it. And I might do that now. I've got my, but I think this like little end, I don't know, I think I could do that. I might have to just put some, like sew some kind of elastic maybe to attach it so that it can stretch. But so this was fun to find. I think I might finish it. And the other thing, I think this is why I was digging. While I was visiting my sister, I noticed that her 4-year-old daughter really liked dressing up and looking cute. And I remembered that I had started a sweater for one of my daughters a long time ago. I had scrap yarn from a baby blanket, and it was such pretty colors. It's Knit Picks Brava Sport, which is a great baby Afghan yarn. And it was a rainbow kind of baby blanket. It was so pretty. And I wanted to use the extras, so I started making a sweater called the Hamra sweater. And the pattern is on Ravelry still. It's about $5, maybe a little less than $5, and it's by L'Atelier de Glenette. And Hamra, I guess, means red, because the sweater she knit was red. But so mine is this rainbow. And in my notes, I said I was making a size 10. It's a cardigan. It already has the holes for the buttons. And my sister's daughter is 4. So I was going to look at the pattern and see what the smallest size I could make from this kind of size that I have now without it looking weird was, because even if I could make it a size 8 or 6, it might fit her sooner. And I think she would wear it. And I just think it's so pretty. And these colors are so bright. And it has this like garter ridge bumpiness, which I think is really cool. So I think I'm going to try to finish this. I would really like to finish it. I'm glad I went looking for it because it's on needles, which I could use for other things. And it has some of my favorite stitch markers on it. It has this little cowboy boot. And it has this little sunflower. It also has a yarn needle, which these are like gold in my house. So I'm glad I found it. I need to finish it so that I can put my supplies to use other places. And here's the bag of scraps. And I have more of this purple yarn. So I have plenty of purple yarn. And then I need to make another scrappy thing because I just have too many scraps. And I've got a ton of that Knit Picks Brava Sport that I could do something with. Okay, so the last thing on my list is the frugal find. And what it is today is don't be afraid to go to like big warehouse type garage sales. There is a local charity that does, it supplies local people that need clothing with a clothing closet where they can go and get clothes, but people donate tons of other stuff to this charity. And once a month, they open up what they call their warehouse, and you can go shop all their other donations, and then the money from those from you shopping goes back to this local charity, which does great work in the area. So I am not afraid to thrift shop. I love it. I love garage sales. Probably 90% of what I buy is secondhand. For one thing, it's way less expensive, and I'm very frugal. And for another thing, I like giving my money to more of a person, like a person at a garage sale or on Facebook or a local charity, than sending my money to China, quite frankly. So I love to buy used things. So I actually took all of my kids to this warehouse sale by myself, which was a little frightening, but it was fine. Everything was super organized, and I told my kids, look and see if you can find Christmas presents for each other. So I kept the little ones with me, and my girls walked around together, and we all looked for fun little extra Christmas presents because my kids like to buy gifts for each other, and this is a way they could do it without spending as much money. So what we found was very exciting. I'm going to try not to make too much noise, but they had in the craft section all these little bags of crafty things, and they were very organized and labeled, and this bag was $1.50. I took out the tiny crochet hooks. There were some teeny tiny crochet hooks, which I will use, but for my eldest daughter who loves to crochet, I got all of these crochet hooks so she can have her own set. And this whole bag was $1.50. So you really can't beat that. These are lovely. They're boy needles or crochet hooks, and they're all different sizes. And I don't know if she'll use the stitch holders, so I'll take those if she doesn't want them. And I don't know what this thing is. You know what? Is this a pom-pom maker? You tell me. Do you know? These are just stitch things holding it or on that. They're not part of it, but it's got this little silver thing, and it's got, this looks like a pom-pom maker to me. Please tell me if you know. I would love to know. So this was a great frugal find. And then I also found something for my stocking for $1, a bag stuffed full of DMC thread. So it's all DMC cross-stitch embroidery thread for $1, and it all looks new. Looks like not even wound or anything for the most part, except this right there. So don't be afraid of looking in unexpected places for craft supplies. And I will tell you, I don't know if you know this, but some people are afraid of like fleas or bed bugs, or, you know, and you should be. But what I do is I put everything sealed in airtight bags, like Ziploc bags, get all the air out of it, and I put it in my deep freezer for 3 days. and that is very likely to take care of any kind of little friends. But for the most part, I've never ever had an issue with anything. But if you need a safety measure to make you feel better, and also obviously if it smells bad or looks bad, you know, I'm not going to buy things that look gross. So look for the quality, pop it in your freezer, and you're good to go. So you can let me know if that's weird, but that's the way I roll. So that's all I have. I'm really glad I got to come do this. I'm really excited for Christmas this year, and decorating again. I do enjoy decorating. I do fairly minimal decorating, but it's enough to make us all feel cheery and homey, and I love handmade things, so most of our ornaments either are handmade or look handmade, and we just really enjoy that. So I hope you have a wonderful Advent. I hope you have a blessed Christmas, and I will see you in January. Bye.